It's 3:47 in the morning and there are 11 soldiers outside your warehouse. You're standing over 4,000 machines that print money in a country where the minimum wage is worth $2 a month and every single one of those machines is a felony. In 4 years, you'll make $1.2 million. In 4 years and 1 week, you'll be running across a river in the dark with everything you own in a backpack. This is your story. Every level of it. Level 1, 0. You're 26 years old. You have a degree in electrical engineering from the University of Zulia, and you are starving. It's Maracaibo, Venezuela, the hottest city in the country, 38 degrees Celsius in the shade, and there is no shade because the power's been out for 9 hours. Your salary as a maintenance technician is 1.8 million bolivars a month. Sounds like a lot. It buys 1 carton of eggs. Inflation last year was 1,300,000%. The money in your wallet is worth less tonight than it was this morning. You eat 1 real meal a day. You've lost 11 kilos in 8 months. Your mother asks if you're sick. You tell her you're fine. But you notice something everyone around you is too tired to notice. In Venezuela, electricity is basically free. The government subsidizes it so heavily that a full month of power costs a family about 14 cents. The whole country is broke. But the one thing it has almost for nothing is watts. That's when your cousin Reynaldo shows you a photo on a cracked phone. A little silver box with a fan on it. Level 2, the first machine. It makes dollars, Reynaldo says, while you sleep. You do the math because you always do the math. One used Antminer S9 costs $380. It burns about 1,300 watts. Anywhere else on Earth, that electricity would eat all the profit. Here, your slice of the power bill for that machine is roughly 50 cents a month. And it earns, at that year's Bitcoin price, around $4 a day. That's $120 a month of clean, hard, uninflatable US dollars. From one box. In a country where a doctor makes $8 a month. You sell your motorcycle, you borrow from 3 people, you buy your first machine, you plug it in behind a false panel in your bedroom closet. It screams like a hairdryer that never turns off. It throws off heat like an oven with the door open. You can't sleep, you don't care. Because 30 days later, you check the wallet and there it is, $116. You made more in a month than your father makes in a year. You buy 2 more machines the same week. Level 3, the heat problem. 3 machines becomes 10. 10 becomes 25. Your bedroom hits 44 degrees. The paint on the wall behind the rack starts to bubble. You run industrial fans day and night. Your downstairs neighbor bangs on the ceiling at 2 a.m. The noise, always the noise. Your electricity draw quietly triples, and even subsidized, someone at the power company, Corpo Elec, is eventually going to look at your meter and ask why one apartment in a blackout city is pulling 30 kilowatts. So you move. You rent a shuttered auto body shop on the edge of town. High ceilings, roll-down steel door, no neighbors. Cash, no lease, no names. You buy 80 machines, you bolt them into rows. First full month, the wallet reads $9,400. You're 27 years old and you are, by the standard of the street you grew up on, rich. And you have committed no crime. That lasts about 6 more weeks. Level 4. The first envelope. The problem isn't the power bill. The power is nearly free. The problem is being seen. A miner runs hot 24/7 and the thermal signature is unmistakable. Your neighbors gossip. And in Venezuela, mining Bitcoin isn't clearly legal or clearly illegal. It lives in a gray zone the authorities can define however they want, whenever they want money. A Corpo Elec inspector shows up. Clipboard, sweat stains, tired eyes. He looks at your rows of machines for a long time. Then he says the sentence that runs this entire country. This is going to be a problem unless we make it not a problem. You pay him $200, then $200 a month. Then his supervisor finds out and it's $500. You tell yourself it's just a fee. It isn't. It's the first link in a chain, and you just clicked it shut around your own ankle. Here's what you don't understand yet at 27, counting cash in a hot room. The men who take your money will one day need someone to blame. And you are building the perfect person to blame. Remember the guy with the clipboard? You'll see his face again, at the worst possible moment. Level 5, scaling. Nobody arrests you, so you do it again. And again. 80 machines becomes 300. You hire 2 guys, your cousin Reynaldo and a welder named Jesus. and pay them in dollars, more than a surgeon makes, to guard the shop and swap dead fans. You learn the real skill of this business. It was never about computers. It's about who you pay and in what order. You're clearing $28,000 a month after bribes and burned out hardware. You buy a Toyota Hilux, the only car worth having when the roads are broken. You buy a diesel generator so a blackout can never cost you a day of mining again. You put $3,000 in your mother's hand and tell her to stop working. She cries. You feel for exactly one afternoon like a good man. Then the country goes completely dark. Level 6 of the Great Blackout. March 2019. The national grid collapses, not for hours and for 5 days. 96 hours with no power across 21 of 23 states. Hospitals fail, food rots, people die, and the government needs someone to point at. State television announces that the blackout was sabotage, and that illegal Bitcoin miners stealing the nation's electricity are part of the problem. Overnight, you go from gray zone businessman to enemy of the state on the evening news. The next morning, it isn't a clipboard inspector at your door. It's 4 men from Sunacrypt, the National Crypto Authority, flanked by 2 Guardia National soldiers with rifles. Your stomach drops through the floor. This is it. This is prison. Except they don't arrest you. Level 7, the offer. They take you to an office with working air conditioning, the first cold air you've felt in months. And a man in a pressed uniform slides a folder across the desk. Inside, aerial photos of your shop, your machine count, your bribe payments, logged, your mother's address, your Hilux plate. You've been busy, he says. Then he smiles. We're not shutting you down. We're partnering with you. He explains it slowly so you don't miss it. Certain people, generals, party men, the ones who really run the provinces, control things the country still has in abundance. Abandoned PDVSA oil facilities with their own power substations. Hydro capacity in the interior. Free grid tie-ins nobody audits. What they lack is someone who understands the machines. Someone already dirty enough to trust. You run the farms, he says. We provide the power, the protection, and the paperwork that makes you legal on Tuesday and illegal on Wednesday, depending on how useful you are. What's the split? 70-30. We keep 70. You look at the folder with your mother's address in it. There is no negotiation here. There is only the word yes. Okay, you say. You just became a state-sponsored criminal, and you traded a business you owned for a cage you'll be allowed to decorate. Before we go any further, a quick thing. My name's Calvin, and we just launched this channel for people who are fascinated by the stories no one really talks about. The hidden ones. How money, power, and crime actually work behind the curtain. The goal is simple. Tell you the stuff that never makes the news. If you want to support us and help us make better videos, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps more than you'd think. All right, back to the river we're running toward. Level 8, the kingdom. They put you on a plane to the interior. You arrive at a decommissioned PDVSA compound. Concrete, barbed wire. Its own substation humming with more free power than a small city. Inside, 6,000 machines. Then it's your job to make it 15,000. The first facility clears $410,000 a month. After the 70-30 split, you keep $123,000 every month. You're 28. You have more money than the mayor of the town you were born in. But the problems scale faster than the profit. Cooling systems fail at 100-degree interior heat, and a rack of machines can cook itself in 20 minutes. A rival farm gets raided and its operator disappears. Not arrested, disappears. And every month you hand a soldier a bag of cash, so the raid never comes to your door. You learn the last worst lesson of the trade. In this business, you are never an owner. You are a tenant. And the rent is always going up. Level 9, the cost. 6 months in, they hand you a second site, hydro-powered in the interior, 25,000 machines. You're now moving over $1 million a month. Your personal cut crosses 300,000. Then, on a Tuesday, a 19-year-old named Danny, a kid you hired because his mother begged you, is repairing a live rack when a cable he was told was dead pushes 480 volts through his chest. You find him on the concrete, 19 years old. You call it in. A white van comes. 2 men wrap the body in plastic and drive away. The family gets $5,000 and a phone call telling them Danny left for Colombia to find work and won't be calling. No report, no name, no grave. You didn't kill him. But you built the room he died in. You don't sleep right after that. Not once. Not for years. Level 10, the golden cage. You're 29 now. On paper, so if there were paper, you control 4 facilities and 60,000 machines. You're worth millions of dollars, and you cannot spend it. You own an apartment in Caracas with a view of a city that can't keep its lights on. You own the Hilux and a second car you never drive. But every large purchase is a flare that says, look at me. You change phones monthly. You speak only on Signal, messages set to vanish. You haven't told your mother what you really do, and the lie is eating a hole in you. And you can't leave. Your name is on a list at the airport now, an asset the organization doesn't want walking out of the country. You have everything a poor kid from Maracaibo ever dreamed of, and you are a prisoner inside all of it. You have all the charge in the world. You just found out you're the battery. Level 11, the sweep. Then the message, meeting, urgent, same cold office. But this time the man in the uniform isn't alone. 2 civilians in cheap suits sit beside him, the kind of men who only appear when someone is about to be sacrificed. There's an international crackdown coming, he says. The Americans are tracking the wallets. The story is going to break, and when it does, he taps the table. The country needs a face, a criminal, someone who stole the people's electricity while they sat in the dark. The civilian speaks for the first time. Cooperate, and it's 18 months, comfortable. We take care of your mother. Refuse, and it's energy theft, money laundering, treason. 15 years. Maybe you disappear like the others. And on the desk on top of everything is one printed photo. The clipboard inspector from level 4. Your very first bribe. He's a witness for the state now. The first link in the chain is the one they're using to hang you. You told yourself 4 years ago that it was just a fee. It was never a fee. It was them keeping the receipt. Level 12, the run. They give you 3 days to get your affairs in order before the cameras and the arrest. They should have given you fewer. Because you did the math, you always do the math. And 18 months in a Venezuelan prison for a man who knows what you know is not 18 months. It's a body in plastic in the back of a white van. So you don't get your affairs in order, you get a backpack. You put in a hardware wallet holding the only fortune they can't seize. The Bitcoin lives in a 12-word phrase in your head, worth more than the 4 cars and 2 apartments combined. You leave everything else, the Rolex on the nightstand, the keys in the door. You call your mother, tell her you love her, tell her not to be afraid when men come asking, and you hang up before your voice breaks. Then you drive west, toward the border, toward the One River. Level 13, the crossing. The official border bridge is watched, so you pay a trochero, a smuggler who works the illegal footpaths, $300 to walk you across the Táchira River in the dark, through a troca run by armed men who tax everyone who passes. It's 3 in the morning. The water is at your chest and it's cold and moving fast, and your backpack is over your head and every splash sounds like a rifle bolt. Halfway across, you stop for 1 second in the middle of the river, Venezuela behind you, Colombia in front. And you realize you are, in this exact moment, worth over $1 million and you have nothing. No home, no name you can use, no country. A mother you can't call, and a 19-year-old's face you'll see every time you close your eyes. You reach the far bank, Cucuta, Colombia. You're alive. You made it out, which is more than almost anyone in this story gets to say. But you're 30 years old, sitting on a riverbank in a country that isn't yours, soaking wet, holding a phrase in your head worth a fortune you're too frightened to ever fully spend. You wanted to escape a life that paid $2 a month. You escaped. That's the part nobody tells you about winning. Sometimes it just means you're the one who got to keep running. 11 soldiers, a warehouse full of money printing machines, and a river in the dark. That was always where this was going. You just couldn't see it from level 1. The Bitcoin network keeps running without you. Somewhere in Venezuela, in a hot room behind a steel door, there's a 26-year-old right now, doing the math on his first machine, certain he'll be smarter than the last guy. He won't be. Next time we run this exact experiment somewhere, the electricity isn't free, and the government isn't the one you're afraid of. Your life, every level, as an illegal miner in the frozen data cities of Siberia. Subscribe so you don't miss the moment it all goes wrong. Because it always goes wrong.